Hi there, kind viewer. This is a video response to two emails that I've received from two separate people. The first one was about a week ago, and I promised the lad concerned that I'd have a response for him fairly quickly. And the other one came tonight, just as I was planning to do this video response. And essentially both of them asked the same question. Now the first one was from a lad who has confirmed that he doesn't mind me using his name, called Adrian Priestley. With a surname like that, no wonder you got problems, dude. Adrian says in his email that he hovers between theism and atheism, that he knows about the Big Bang and evolution and quantum mechanics, but he can't quite shake the notion of God. Well, first of all, don't worry about it. Some people, you mentioned that you hover in a sort of an agnostic state. Well, that's fine. Stay agnostic. What's the problem? Agnosticism is fine by me. Nobody goes from atheism straight to theism. Nobody goes actually that might be true, but nobody goes from theism straight to atheism. They'll all stop off at the oasis of agnosticism, and they might stay there for the rest of their lives quite happily. So don't go thinking that you're intellectually incomplete because you can't call yourself an atheist. I don't think I'm not fighting agnostics. I'm fighting talk of hell and those who try and, in some sense, cripple young minds from the ability to appreciate science, or corrupt science to try and fit their own narrow-minded bullshit. So agnostics, you're okay by me. And also, on the subject of you know about evolution, quantum mechanics and the Big Bang, I'd say you know of them. You might be able to write a page on each of those things, but I don't think until you've read a couple of books on each of them that you know about them. So if that's not the case, please rectify it sometime in the next 100 years and read at least a couple of books on all three of those subjects. Now the question that these two young lads have asked me is essentially, why am I so sure there's not a God? Well, I've tried to do lots of takes on this video, and I realised that it was so difficult because I was trying to disprove God in 10 minutes, which, as we all know, is completely hopeless. So I'm not going to try and be persuasive in this video. I'm just going to tell you my own personal thoughts and observations. I think when I was young, I was very young, 4, 5, something like that, maybe 6, certainly no later than that. I think I must have been patted on the head for figuring something out for myself. And from that very moment, it set up a pattern within me which said, it's good to figure things out. It's good to not be fooled. I can't remember, maybe it was Santa Claus, maybe it was as simple as that, but that set up a trend in me. So parents, if your kid figures something out for themselves, if they ever do anything impressive intellectually when they're very young, you make a fuss of them. You pat them on their heads, and make them happy about themselves, and you will be saving them so much trouble later in life. And you might just create a very useful human being. Next memory after that, I remember thinking that the notion of God was a bit suspect, because why not gods? If you look at a car, you don't think that an engineer constructed every single part of it and mined the materials to make the components. It makes sense that it's made by many different people. So the idea that there was one God struck me as suspect, even at a very young age. That and the mentioning of our Father and stuff like that, that's indicative of a state of mind. Also, I was a malicious, well, no, I wasn't malicious, but I was vicious as a child at manipulating the other kids. I've always been very, very good at understanding people. I don't know why. My sister is too. We're extremely good at it. I've got another friend who seems to have the same power, and he's probably watching right now, and he knows his name. But they're the only three, myself, my sister, and this friend, are the only people I've met in my life who seem to be as instinctive about understanding how other people think. And because I could manipulate people so easily myself and get them to do anything, I could get people to say what I wanted to say. Because of that, I've realised that people are very, very easily led, very easily misled. And that's another thing. Also, at the age of 15, I was beginning to become aware that I was able to answer a lot of questions that other kids couldn't. And I thought about this for some time to try and think why this was, because I suck at maths, so it wasn't intelligence. And I think it's because all my life I have been determined to think everything. If a notion came up, I would think it was true. Just to see what it felt like, just to see, I suppose the thought process was something like, if this is true, then what would I expect to see? And if I don't see that, this probably isn't true. That's another one. And the other one is the supernatural. At a very early age, I was convincing kids that supernatural things had occurred, and they hadn't. If any of those kids are watching, not that I think that they'd recognise me, but if you are watching, I'm ever so sorry. But it really was a good learning curve for me, and I appreciate the education. I don't believe in the supernatural. Nothing I've seen anywhere in life, or heard or read, has convinced me that the supernatural is possible. In fact, by definition, the supernatural is impossible according to the known laws of physics. Even if we had the unknown laws of physics, if we knew physics in its totality, the supernatural would still be that which is beyond the possible. So God does miracles. Miracles are supernatural. Supernatural is impossible. God is impossible. I don't rule out the idea that the universe is the result of some benign act by some species that survived for many billions of years and learned how to make universes. I don't rule that out. And if you're watching, guys, thanks ever such a lot for the fish. I mean, good job. Fine work. I just wish that more people would give you the small percentage chance of existing. If people just believed there might be a creative force behind the universe, I might be religious myself. Of course, I'd take the roof off all the churches and all the mosques and put a telescope in there, and instead of the imams and the priests, I'd have science teachers, very, very good science teachers, who could, and everyone could just sit down at night, look at the stars and think, wow. Which is pretty much what I do, and I find that enough. So the short answer to why I don't believe in God is I cannot believe. I cannot believe in God. If you ask me to believe in Santa, the answer is the same, the reasoning is the same. I can only believe what I can believe.